Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, it does not look too good for the bonds this morning. Let's come over and take a look at what's going on. So, we had a little bit of some upside later in the day. But, well, no, I take that back. Yesterday was a little bit up and then back down. That's around our opening time. And then much lower. You know what I should do? Here on this chart, while I'm thinking about it. So I got here this line at time. And I'm making it gray. But let's make it like a really dark green. Like maybe dark cyan? No, dark cyan's not enough for me. Maybe a midnight blue. No, I can barely see that midnight blue. Royal blue? I just don't want it to okay, that royal blue is good. And then I have this one. Let's make this one like more of a reddish color. Like, coral. There we go. Okay. That'll help me differentiate between when we start and we end in the overnight session. All right. So here we can see in the overnight session, a little bit of a step lower, and now we're taking another step lower. So this is just like, oof, they are just selling this thing. This is, I mean, look at this. There is everybody short this thing. You gotta be careful because if there's, short covering and stuff, it can be like really, really aggressive. But it's likely to stay this way until the election, unless we get a lot of data this week. Unless we got really bad data, I guess. Okay, S&P 500. Well, they're still kind of struggling and are on the downside this morning. Oil, moving up a little bit. So, I'm kind of hearing rumbling about what's going on in the Middle East. The Biden administration is really pushing for a ceasefire with Hamas. I'm really doubtful that it's going to happen, but there is some movement over there. And then on the other side, it kind of sounds like that Iran might strike back. They're not in any rush to do it, but that Iran might strike back again, and that tensions over there could just escalate. So oil, is it really affecting oil right now? I'm not too sure. But we're seeing a little bit of a rise this morning. Gold and silver is looking pretty good, like getting back up to the top end of that range. Could have another breakout soon, depending on the data. Copper. Okay, so there's a big jump there in copper. So we did get maybe some good news in China. I didn't, when I was reading my morning news squawks and stuff, I didn't see anything too huge. But there might have been something that I kind of overlooked. Because that's a pretty decent rise there in copper. And then we got the Japanese yen. Ooh, still looking pretty ugly. Bitcoin. Ooh, above 70K now, huh? Okay. Well, maybe Bitcoin will make that run for 100,000. They have this tendency. Well, should I say it's a tendency? I don't know, but I can remember many times in the past during this time of year seeing some wild stuff in the cryptocurrency space. So just keep that in mind. All right, so now I'm thinking about this indicator. So when I came in this morning, for some reason, the market order imbalance did not carry over through the restart. So I added it back again. They're down at the bottom now. If that happens again, I'm going to need to take a look at that. But I'm also thinking about this whole thing with the issue where it does the tick replay stuff. So I'm thinking about coming in here and yeah, in fact I will. I'll come in here into the code. You're not allowed to look, but see if something to do with that. Yeah. So I'm just going to add into here if state equals state dot real time. So it will only add volume when we're live. And do a quick refresh on the chart here. Okay. You know what? Well, I'm also going to clear it. Saved. There we go. Okay. See how that goes. Good morning, Raymond. Uzi Octavius. I remind me, Raymond, this isn't your first time here, yeah? But you are fairly new. Well, we're glad to have you. All right, well, so we do have a couple of things going on today, don't we? No. Oh, really? Okay. So we did have wholesale inventories. It didn't look like the market really reacted too much to that, though. We have jolts at 8 o'clock, so that tends to be pretty big. Oh, you've been for many years? Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so awful. I'm such a terrible host. You know, like your name is like super familiar. It's just was like not like an everyday thing. But you for many years. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Oh yeah. Wait, Big Mike days. Oh yeah. Like from Futures IO. Oh yeah, now I kind of. Yeah, you were one of the first ones, like before we were even live streaming. You know what? We've had this conversation before, haven't we? We had this conversation before. Yes. I'm so terrible, dude. Oh no. I don't know. Like maybe part of it is Raymond is a little bit of a, you know, there's more than one Raymond. I'm just getting old. Probably coming up on 40. 40's too old, apparently. I just remember now the name Raymond is taken. If a different Raymond comes along, you know, you'll have to fight you for it. But I trust that you'll beat any challengers. Well, so I was kind of so I lost my train of thought there. We have Jolt's job openings. We also have a 7-year auction. So normally I would be like, okay, let's prepare ourselves and treat this like it's like it's an auction day. We should probably see some big icebergs in the 10-year and all of those sorts of things. And that all still applies, but probably not going to have a whole lot of opportunity until Jolts. I would expect the market to be pretty constrained until Jolts. And we'll see what we get. Well, let's pop over to some of the news sites. The top story on Zero Hedge is Joe Rogan addresses YouTube censorship concerns and says Harris interview still possible. Washington Post boss Bezos explains the hard truth about not endorsing. I read that article that he wrote, and I was incredibly impressed with what he wrote. It was like, oh wow, he is paying attention. Read the comments section underneath of it. Oh man, okay, wait. This is gonna be good. Let me go find it. The hard truth. Americans don't trust the news media. You think? It's, it's just like if anybody at the Washington Post had written an article like that, I would be like, wow, there real major progress there, right? Because the Washington Post is probably one of the most biased papers. No, among papers, it is the most. Among papers that kind of claim to be objective and stuff, I feel like that they're the worst. But anyways, you said the comments. 1,000 comments. Oh, please, this is about your business and money. Money is the god you worship. Yes, don't worry, though. Trump will come for you eventually. Wait, how are these ranked? Does it just say it just by newest? Forget it. Bezos cannot explain away his callous bowing to the would-be dictator. He's so rich that it won't matter to his daily life, but the loss of any credibility the Post had is gone. I have canceled my subscription. Apparently they lost 8% of their subscribers or something like that. You know what? For a website like the Washington Post, that is a pretty significant amount. But you know what? It was kind of inevitable, right? If you want to shift towards being an objective news source, then you're kind of going to have to piss off all of the people that were reading you because they were hard lefties, right? So there might be more pain in the future for the Washington Post. Jeff, please don't talk to us like we're Fox News viewers. Washington Post readers know when we're being lied to. The Post doesn't lack credibility, my friend. You might need to change your headline too, Jeff. Democracy dies in darkness, and having that as your headline for the last 8 years, that really gives me, makes me question them as a news source. Given the state of U.S. politics, pretty much the only way the country doesn't descend into pure chaos is if Harris wins, and that's only by the grace. Oh, no, I think that would probably be a more chaotic scenario. Because here's the thing. If Kamala Harris wins, it will be incredibly close, and there will be a lot of reasons that people will think that it's not real. In particular, it will be the night of, it will look like Donald Trump won, and then over the days come through, they say that Kamala won. And especially if it's areas like Pennsylvania and Nevada that end up being like the real key deciders. Like I think one of the things that kind of, at least for me, lessened the blow in 2020 was that Joe Biden pretty much won all of the swing states for the most part, right? Like even Georgia, when it was like even Georgia and Arizona went for Harris, I was kind of like, well, I mean, like there was some things going on in Pennsylvania and stuff that I was concerned about and everything, but you know, it was across the board. I'm not too sure that you could like really orchestrate a steal that broadly. But in this election, I don't think that it would be the case. Like I very, very doubtful. It's possible. It's possible because there is this whole thing, like there are Democrats out there in Georgia that if they show up, they can win. But generally they don't, because it is a very Republican state. So I don't think that she would win Georgia, right? But she could win the blue wall and Pennsylvania and Nevada. And there are two stories, or there are, let's not say two stories. There's a story in each one of those places where like conservatives are freaking out. So in Pennsylvania, they have filed a court. Well, I don't think it was a court case. They sent a letter basically saying that their voters are being turned away. They're closing precincts early. They're doing all of these things to hurt their turnout. And so that's going to be the thing that Republicans latch onto in Pennsylvania. And then in Nevada, there's this, I think that it's in Nevada, that there's this story where a court has decided that they can accept ballots up to 3 days after the election, even if they're not postmarked, which is like, holy crap. Like, so what stops anybody from just going and harvesting ballots and turning them in and stuff? Like, that's very concerning to me. I think that there will be, like, I think that in one case they were petitioning to the Supreme Court, like emergency injunction and stuff like that, right? So if Harris wins, it will be big time drama. It will be big time drama. If Republicans lose, they will just make more online content and sell more coffee and pillows. No, so I don't think that Republicans are going to like orchestrate a coup or anything like that. I think that Donald Trump will protest it again, but more cautiously to avoid this whole, accusation of that they're trying to orchestrate a coup. But I think that the politics overall get much more frayed after that. Like, if Harris were to win, I think that the Republicans would start to go like scorched earth. Because the thing is that Harris and the Democrats have straight up said, we want to eliminate the filibuster. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Right. So it would very much turn into political do or die territory. And you might start to see some things like, well, one possibility is just the entire Republican electorate just completely tunes out is one thing that you could see. And that could kind of like slowly bubble up into problems. But you could also, I think another thing that you would start to see is you would see individual states start to really fight the federal government more adamantly. I mean, they've already kind of been doing this sort of stuff, but like, Texas would probably jump the shark and start doing super crazy things. Like, I don't think that would be very long. Now, if Trump wins, surely Democrats will protest and be upset, and there will be a lot of gnashing and wailing of teeth and things like that. But the thing that I see this time around, I want my security pin. It makes me feel safe. The thing that I see this time around that's different from 2016, 2020 is that pretty important establishment voices are starting to say, you guys are overreacting with Donald Trump. It's not that bad. And many even outright supporting Donald Trump. So like the most prominent example in my mind is Jamie Dimon. So there was that whole thing about people saying that Jamie Dimon endorsed Trump. He didn't. But he has said a couple of things that are kind of like he gets it. He can see what's going on and doesn't appreciate that the just histrionics over if Donald Trump wins. And also, I think kind of understanding that there is a real problem with globalist policies that are hurting Americans, and that that group of Americans just really can't stand it anymore. Let's see here. You're talking about behind the scenes courtroom stuff that people will never hear about if Trump wins. I'm talking about legions of tangible human beings going absolutely ham on society as a whole. Yeah. So let me finish. So I think I got 2 more points. Okay. Point number 2 is similar to what I said. If Kamala Harris wins, it's kind of the opposite. If Donald Trump wins, there's I would say a greater than 50% chance of the Donald Trump wins scenarios. I would say that 60, 70, maybe even 80% of those scenarios are ones where Donald Trump really wins decisively. Like, I think 60% of those scenarios he wins the popular vote, and 70% of those scenarios he wins like most of those states that are under contention and yada yada. So it will be really hard for people. I think it will be really hard for the Democrats to deal with that they lost so badly. Is like one of the big things that's going to happen. And so like they can protest and everything, but they're not going to really have much of a leg to stand on in terms of doing anything about it. Like, I tell you what, man, the conservatives in this country, they're ready to go. Like, I can just kind of, this is just like this little subtext under what, Uzi's saying. It's like, I'm prepared for poop to hit the fan, right? Like, I've been doing I did another small woodworking project. Oh my gosh, it turned out so great. It was there was a coat rack. It's kind of like a flat piece of wood with racks coming out of it, and it was the wrong size. So my wife she cut it, and then it didn't look very good. So I was like, okay, let's do this the right way. So I took it over to my uncle's house and cut the bevels on it correctly. They had to use a plane to kind of clean it up a little bit and sand, and then I completely stripped it, sanded it. I used stain. It was oak. It was quarter sawn oak. So like, oh wait, I have a picture. Oh, I just think it looks so good, guys. I want to show you my piece of wood because I want to show you my piece. Oh my gosh. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Because it's quarter sawn oak. And I'm usually not a fan of oak, but so ADHD, right? Now Seth's talking about wood. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that piece of wood. Oh my gosh. It's like a quarter sawn, which is actually kind of cheaper, but you get like these crazy swirl patterns in it. You see these like this like decent selling. Well, yeah, the overnight session is like super down. Guess I should keep it like that, right? Anyways, so I stripped it down and then I stained it with early American stain, which really gives it that nice rich brown color. Because that's the kind of the thing that I think people hate about oak, is that oak kind of always gets that like orangey yellow tinge, you know, like all of your cabinets in the 90s. And or it's, you know, the grain is super prominent in it, right? But with the way that I finished it, you get a really nice rich brown color, and there's a lot of chatoyance in it. So, it turned out so great. Anyways, little tangent there. When I was talking to him, you know, because I was like, oh, you know, I'm between jobs, you know, so we can do something. He wanted to put a stove in his workshop. But he was kind of like not going to do anything until after the election because he was concerned that like stuff is going to go down. I really don't think that anything's going to go down. Listen, liberals, if Donald Trump wins, okay, and you have ideas to do something stupid, please don't, because these guys are ready to go. But I really don't think that they can do anything. Like, if Donald Trump wins and he wins so decisively, you know, anybody coming out trying to, well, so first of all, like, if the Democrats come out and say that, like, Donald Trump stole the election, everybody's just going to laugh at them, right? like it's just going to be funny if they try to claim that Donald Trump won the election, right? If they come out and they try to, you know, change the certification of the vote or do some sort of false elector scheme, like all that sort of stuff, they're just going to be laughed at, man. It's like you just thrown a fit and made this whole big thing about Donald Trump trying to steal the election for 4 years, and now you're going to turn around and do it? Like, okay. Nobody's going to take him seriously, especially if they lost so badly. So that's the first thing. The judicial branch will turn on the executive. You know what? I really don't think so. Like, I have a really hard time seeing the Supreme Court coming in and ruling against Donald Trump on a really controversial issue. Unless they really are correct, you know? Like, so the whole thing, when the Supreme Court decided on the whole Bush v. Gore thing, which, you know, I think that overall was a good thing that Bush won and everything, but the logic behind their decision was kind of like, this is a transparently obvious political decision. Like, everybody was just mocking the logic because it completely contradicted many long-standing conservative legal principles, you know? And I think that if a court case regarding Donald Trump and the election like that came up to the Supreme Court again, granted, last time around, there was at least one court case that I can recall where the Supreme Court said, nah, we're not gonna touch that. And they might do that again if it's like a, you know, Donald Trump situation where he's petitioning and everything. But like, especially if it's like Donald Trump wins and then there's a court case where they try to, you know, take the win from him. Yeah, there's no way that the conservatives would rule against Donald Trump. No way. And they would probably use whatever kind of convoluted logic that they needed to justify it too. Nah. If Donald Trump wins, I think the only scenario, the only thing that Democrats could do anything about it would be to try and assassinate him. I don't say that lightly. Okay, please, guys, don't do anything stupid. Okay, and that would be a terrible thing. Similarly, if Kamala Harris, having the president or the elected president of the country assassinated, super, super bad for the country. Don't want that to happen. But, they've tried, and I'm sure that people will try after he's elected too. Maybe even more adamantly. So that's, I think, the only scenario where if he won the election that they could stop him. Right. But let's see here. Yeah, really are correct. It's just a matter of what they can convince the public of. Well, sure. So like, I'm trying to think of some recent decisions that have kind of been in this vein, No, you think we were going to get red miraged again. Yes, I understand. I understand why you think that. I really don't think that that's what's going to happen, though. Now there is this thing. There was this Puerto Rico garbage patch joke from a comedian. Remember yesterday I said, well, I don't know if it's a huge deal or not, but the first thing that we would want to be paying attention to is if Team Trump tries to throw him under the bus. And they pretty much did. The campaign said that they didn't share his views, that he was just a shock jock. Peter Navarro, said that the joke was in bad taste. I think that he was just speaking for himself and not necessarily the campaign. But it does seem that they were trying to distance themselves from it. But part of the problem was that they invited him. This guy had a history of making jokes like that. And they actually, like, his jokes were, like all part of the script, and they reviewed it. And in fact, there was a one joke where he called Kamala Harris the C word that was taken out, and they didn't catch that one. They didn't pick up on, well, that one would be really bad too. Probably shouldn't have invited the guy in the first place, but hey, like, that's a Trump sort of a thing, is, Trump will do that sort of a thing, and it's probably not an advisable thing, but then somehow he gets away with it, right? So who am I to say that my political instincts are wrong, or are right, or wrong, or whatever? I'm thinking it is a real problem, but it's probably not enough to move the needle on an electorate that has already kind of decided what it's going to do. And where I really think that things like how, voter registrations and so forth are going to matter the most. And I don't think that it's going to overcome that, right? So maybe it hurts Donald Trump down the stretch a little bit. That might make it closer than we think. But yeah, you're right. The early voting and mail-in balloting gains are a good sign of that. Well, I would be cautious about that particular part, actually. So it kind of helps and it kind of doesn't help. So the thing is that we look at the early voting and we see Republicans outpacing in early voting, and that's like a really good sign. Well, but that's because Republicans have said, oh, we got really screwed last time. Let's not make that mistake again. Right? And, so they are voting early in droves. And so you're seeing a larger portion of the Republicans voting early and just going along with it because, like, it's the law, and I guess we got to take advantage of it if it's there. So you should see a lot more Republicans voting early. And how far ahead they are in the early voting relative to like past years isn't really going to be relevant. But what will be relevant is, does the early voting counts match up with the polling? And from the little bits of information that I have seen on this point, it seems that it does. It seems that the early voting is coming out in line with what the national polling is. So it kind of seems like the most bizarre scenario to us, but the polls might just be right this time. I don't know, like the scenarios that Democrats lay out where Democrats outperform, I don't think are really very likely. Like, yeah, youth voters and female voters will turn out, and probably it will turn out in amounts that are a little bit surprising to people, but like, that's already reflected in polling. That's already reflected in polling. And you can see both campaigns are basically kind of know it, that the national polling is showing it, and it seems like the internal polling from both campaigns showed that it's even stronger, that men in particular are just not jumping on board the Kamala Harris campaign. And that is too big of a voting block to, just have completely against you. By election day, there won't be enough Republicans left to vote. Well, I guess from that perspective, election day turnout will probably be a lot lower than normal, right? Because so many people will have done early voting. Now, another related issue I guess we should probably bring up, another controversial issue. Amen, good morning. Well, what's going on? They're selling it. They're selling it hard. And I'm kind of waiting for the job openings number, but kind of seems like that they're not going to stop. But we're talking politics. So I don't know if this was happening before this, but like it was a story that just kind of all of a sudden blew up yesterday, was people setting ballot boxes on fire. It happened in Washington. It happened in Oregon. It happened in Vancouver, which I don't know. So maybe it's like one person in that area doing it. I don't know. And it happened in Arizona, I believe. So, first of all, terrible thing to happen. Shouldn't be happening. Kind of an alarming thing. Reddit was super, super upset about it. And you know what? I think it's justified. We should be upset about it. But I kind of wonder, does that change the calculus? Like, all of the sudden, I'm seeing all of these people say, like, oh, these ballot boxes need to be under 24/7 guard and all of these sorts of things. And I'm like, isn't that what Republicans have been saying this whole time anyways? So, I don't know. They're selling it hard, and we all know if we sell it, they'll stop selling it, yeah. See, the problem, and I really think in this situation in particular, that's something that we have to kind of be a little bit cautious about. Because there on one side, there does appear to be somebody that has like some sort of a systemic short on this. Like these institutions, when they put a position like that on, they have people watching them 24/7. If something happens, they can get out. But also, they kind of play defense on the position a little bit. They will kind of do those things so that, like it's easier for it to tick down than to tick up because they're holding liquidity on it. They're going to be doing things to make a little bit of money from market making on the side, and they can use that as buffer money to manage their position a little bit better. And one of the things that they'll kind of be looking for Well, and then on the other side of that, there does appear to be just substantial selling overall. So if there is this substantial selling, there's going to be these guys looking for liquidity. And a great way for them to get liquidity is if all of the retail traders, try going with the trend and go short, and then it kind of, pops back up a little bit. Especially with the way that retail traders trade the whole like break of the low and reversal sort of a thing, right? So you get everybody to think that it's going to reverse and to buy it, and then that's more liquidity for you to sell even more. So I do think that you have to be cautious about where you get in. Like, there probably is a place today where you can make money from selling it, but I don't know where it is. And I think you gotta be careful about it. So I am kind of like, I don't know if I want to touch it. I've got to see something that really makes me confident that in the short term we're going down and I can make a little bit, right? So what you may be selling is more self pullbacks, yeah. If you're really that adamant that it's going to sell. I mean, right now, I don't really see I don't really see a reason to be that involved in the market right now. I think that we're probably going to rotate around this area until the job openings number. Be some institutional trader needing to dump 70k ZN contracts. Start OP at the RTH session. 40k contracts done. Completely quit because some ninja trader client sold one contract. We'll pick it up again tomorrow. No. What? I'm telling you, this is what happens. Is like the market. So it's kind of in stages, right? The market maker will start to see some strain, right? And they kind of see that, and they'll start to execute in that area. And then if they're really having a hard time getting liquidity, and I think in this situation they would be, they're really looking for a situation where, if enough people can get in there, that could be some liquidity that they could make it pop back up. And, all they would have to do is pull a few offers and maybe buy a few contracts to get it to do that, right? You can make that pattern, right? So you push it down, right? And then you come in and you say, oh, actually, let's just pull our offers and buy a little bit so that it pops up like this, right? Then all the retail traders buy it, and then you can sell it aggressively back in. Probably back to the hole and then later, like that. So that's the kind of the thing that I'm concerned about seeing. And now the other scenario that I'm concerned about seeing is it just does this, right? Like, if they really need to sell it that badly, it could just continue to sell and sell and sell and sell. I'm noticing that there's a little bit of a pullback in the Japanese yen, but not in the treasuries. But I am also seeing that the treasuries in the 10-year, the volume in the treasury is mostly flat through, at least since we've started trading. That we're not seeing like that consistent rising cumulative delta. Actually, well, we are seeing some selling in the 30-year and in the 5-year, just not in the 10-year. So, yeah. I'm not seeing a lot of evidence that we're in that scenario where they just sell and sell and sell and sell. I still have this picture of that coat rack, and I'm so happy. The only thing I don't like about it is that these pegs, because they are the grain the other way, they got super dark. But I like everything else about it. I really like it. The color is great, and the green, it looks so cool. I should close it so that I stop thinking about it. Oh, that's interesting. I popped out of my email and kind of looked through things, and I got a resume rejection from Adobe, and I'm like, that I put that in like 3 weeks ago, dude. Wait, now you're looking at it, huh? Okay. That's one of the things that I've kind of noticed with this is that some of the companies that you would like to work for are really slow about this stuff. Like, they don't go and look through the resumes and pick them until it's been like 2 or 3 weeks. And meanwhile, the ones that are like really aggressive and are like, you know, they're desperate to hire somebody, and it's usually not for a good reason. What's funny about in risk management is many believe it's normal to risk 1 to 3% per trade. For example, with a $10 million account, risking 1% equates to $100,000 per trade, while 3% means risking $300K. Well, I've never seen anybody say 3%, but it's a common thing in futures to size it to 1 to 2%. Now, really where that comes from is if you're risking 1 to 2%, that means that to blow the account, you would have to lose 50 times in a row, essentially, right? So that should give you a really long time to really trade and everything. But when you start to look at it from a professional perspective, they handle it completely differently. They are generally more concerned because, you know, the strategies are ones where you're trading multiple instruments and you have positions that you've had on for a long time. And so they're more concerned about things like how much value is at risk overall in their portfolio and like what the cross-sectional dependencies are. Like, I don't want to be short all of these different positions and then find out that the next move they're all correlated, and so I end up losing way more than 10% or whatever it is of my portfolio because of one move that I was didn't realize I was so exposed to, right? And they have huge stops. Like they are going to have their positions sized and so forth in a way that to really force them out of position, it really, really has to move forcefully against them. That's kind of like the funny thing about it is that you can come in and you can do degenerate stuff and that will make you money in the short term, but in the long term, it's not really a very winning strategy. But when you do have a winning strategy, utilizing some of those tricks to a certain extent is kind of necessary in order to withstand some of the shenanigans and basically the inefficiencies of the market. So it's kind of like I don't think that risk management is sold very well. I think that everybody gets on it because for those momentum traders, it's a big part of their strategy. Like, the risk management is really the bit of it that makes it work and really makes it successful. For scalping, it's not the same thing. Like, people think that, risk management will give me an explicit edge. Like, if I come in here and my trades are all random, but I am using proper risk management, I can still make money just from the risk management. That is false. Does not work that way. And doesn't matter which way you swing. Like it's so funny if you come in with our Monte Carlo simulations, like using a different risk reward setup does not change your probability of winning the combine. But that's because the combine assumes that all of your trades are neutral on a risk adjusted basis. So if you're making 2-to-1, then your win rate is going to be corresponding to whatever would be break even. You're going to have to be winning more than that break even amount, which means you need to have an actual edge. So retail traders are taught to just focus on risk management, when the reality is that stuff is all completely useless if you don't actually have a profitable strategy. And good risk management is not a profitable strategy. You have to be able to identify an inefficiency in a market that allows you to predict orders over the time period that you're in the trade. Well, so I'm seeing something in my market order imbalance that I don't think I understand, because we're getting pretty close to okay, it's 538. Never mind. I thought that was like 5 and I'm like, are we really that much of a buy side imbalance? It kind of looks to me like that the flows at the moment are actually slightly tilted to the buy side, but that it's in a very low volume quiet area. So that kind of looks more like liquidity hole. Maybe there could be continuation later, but given the timing and everything, I would be a little bit surprised if that came through before jolts. But this is just where, like, again, you gotta keep in mind that the impact of orders follows a square root law. And that kind of means that since we've been selling all morning, that those buy orders have a relatively stronger impact. So that's kind of an interesting situation. I think that we should keep an eye on. It kind of makes me question this scenario even more, where we're just going to sell all day, you know? If they're just going to sell all day, then they're tricking me really well right now. They're tricking me really well right now if it's just going to be a trend down day. Because right now I'm really skeptical about that. Well, let's pop around. You know, that just makes me think about the whole combine thing. Like, I want to make a video. Frankly, it would be my next video after the one that I'm working on. If I just knew how to end it, right? Do I just say, okay, here's the combine, here's my Monte Carlo simulation. Really, like, you just shouldn't do it. I think that trading combines are dumb, and that's the video. Am I making it too complicated? I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't feel like I have a good conclusion to the video that's going to be like really draw people in and get them to watch the video to the end and all that. I don't know what you mean by idea of volume of trades, but you know, like, the video will just be like, trading combines is for suckers. Here's the statistics. Here's what we know about them. Probably shouldn't waste your time with them. And then that's it. Like, I don't know if people would be that impressed with it. Or maybe I'm making it too important. You stole the video idea of dark pools from Mike? No. I mean, I have been asked about dark pools so many times, and there was actually another video where somebody talked about dark pools, and they tried to use dark pools as an argument for why order flow shouldn't work. But that person just didn't understand what a dark pool actually does. And the other video that I've got coming is because of this thing about is order flow useless, and another YouTube video that I saw. Well, they were kind of using this to explain situations where the instrument moves because it's correlated and not because of the order flow, and that happens so often. And I think that they were kind of trying to say, like, they trade with the DOM, but that they're primarily looking at the price action and everything. And I really didn't like that video because, one, it was like a really long video to explain something that only takes a few seconds to explain. and second of all, because they're missing all of this other useful information about the order flow that does help. So, and I think that it's a really good way to, you take a beginner to help a beginner understand what they should be looking at. So that's kind of the next one. That's the next one. But then I want to make one about the combines, and I just want it to be, hey, trading combines are dumb. I don't know. I guess most of my other videos, I reveal something in it that I feel like most people don't know or are falling for. I debunk something that a lot of people are falling for. And with this one, I feel like that most people... Oh, whoa, hold the boat. Okay, well, that might not be as big of a deal as I thought, but they just moved down 3 ticks all at once, just like that on... those bids just like completely melted underneath of them too. And there's a huge offer at 10.5. Just pulled. That I'm TLT open. But it wasn't exactly at 7:30. It was more like 7:31. Well, I do think that that's a good theory, though, Octavius. That does seem like a good theory, that it could be related to the S&P 500. I mean, the timing, we can't ignore that the timing, it was around about that time. I'm a little bit suspicious about it, though, to be honest with you. A little bit suspicious about it. This actually just makes me want to wait for jolts and rather than take a trade. There are some situations where something like that could kind of make me think like something's going to go and I want to go along with it. But in a situation like this where we've already been trending down so much, that seems like a little too obvious of a sell. So I'm going to sit on it. From r/day trading. Day trading is not everyday trading. Prove me wrong. I keep seeing people assume that day trading means trading every single day. But in my experience, that couldn't be further from the truth. Just because you're a day trader doesn't mean you should be glued to the screen daily chasing every setup that comes your way. I've found that some of the best days in trading are the ones where I don't trade at all. The idea of picking and choosing setups rather than feeling pressured to be in a trade every day has made a big difference in my consistency. I'd argue that quality beats quantity in day trading any day of the week, especially when it comes to preserving both capital and sanity. Anyone have a different take on this? Are there any traders out there who believe that trading daily is key to success? So if you have a mechanical setup that has a strong historical backing, that is to say like 5 years or more of data, then you really should take every signal. But I don't, the retail traders that actually have that are few and far between, and the ones that claim that they do probably don't actually, right? So I think that most retail traders are utilizing some degree of discretion. And so in that respect, I think that for most retail traders, that the more prudent kind of analog is to be the sniper. Wait for a setup where you're really, really confident you know what's going to happen. I still have some trouble sorting out what are the situations where I should feel really confident and not, but taking less trades has definitely helped. Yeah, Reddit is still triggered about the ballot box burning thing. This person is saying maybe some of the people that guard ballot boxes are the same that burn ballot boxes. Making fun of Rage Against the Machine, right? Well, we don't know who's burning them, but I wouldn't doubt that it's a Republican. Well, sure enough, they bounce right back to that 115. New all-time high, Michael? Okay. I mean, it's like close there. Wait, maybe if I look at it from this perspective. No, all-time high would be 2773. Not quite there yet, but awfully close. You took the hero to the VWAP off of that, Octavius? Not bad. So that was another one of those situations where it's like, should I take a trade? Should I not take a trade? How confident am I on that one? I definitely identified that as, probably a little bit of a trick, but I didn't take it for a reversal. TLT is one of your losers this month? Really? Wait, do you have calls in TLT? I gotcha. Well, what's the expiration? Because I'm kind of sitting here watching this sell and I'm like, how long can this go on for? See, so funny. If you really want to just have all your messages retracted, I could just block you from chat if you want. It is funny that he deleted all of his messages, right? I don't know. This kind of brings me back to this thing that's like, is it Salim? Because anytime that somebody comes in and kind of seems a little bit trolly, I kind of immediately think that it could be Salim, but there's some things about him that seem different to me. And part of me thinks that it's just a new kid that's just like way overconfident, right? Oh man. I tell you what, yeah, this is something that for some reason my mind has been coming back to over and over again over the past month or so. It seems to be that if there is a natural psychological inclination in people that you can take advantage of, it's that humans tend to be overconfident about their abilities, right? Like it's totally comes out of that. That is like one of the behaviors that seems to be the most strong, especially in men. So you get a guy, if for instance, if there's going to be a street fight, like every guy thinks that he can take them in a street fight. And no, probably you can't. Probably you can't. If that person knows anything about fighting and you've never taken any training on fighting, you are going to get destroyed. Okay. But every guy still seems to think that he's going to win in a fight. It's the overconfidence, man. It's like it's bred into us. It's this whole thing. And even when you're not confident, we kind of will put up a front to make it seem like we are. Let me at him. I'll win this fight. So, like martial arts is something that I've always had an interest in and have dabbled a little bit in, but never really was able to do long enough to really stay in it. Like I found a place and did it for a couple of months, and then, like there was disruption in my life and so forth, and it didn't turn out. So, and then I couldn't find them again. Couldn't find the guy anymore after that. Otherwise, I'd go back and do it again. So I know enough to know that like you don't really want to get involved in a street fight, right? That was like one of my big takeaways on that is like it does not take a lot of training for somebody to be able to kill you with their hands. Okay, and you don't know what how good they are. You have no clue. You might think, oh, this is a shrimpy guy. I'm stronger than I can totally take him. But if he's taken martial arts, then there'd be no way that you could know. He could straight up end you. You start boxing when you were 13. Okay, so maybe Ann Steffa can be the guy. But then, like, that's the thing is that like the people that are trained in that when they're in a situation like that, they're way more, they know the risk involved, right? And they might even know, well, chances are I'm probably better than them, but it's still way too risky for me to really want to get involved in a fight ring. Salim could kick all of our ass. Well, we've never seen him, but maybe he could. Maybe. You might be right. Listen, I'm not a big guy, so. I think I might, be able to, I think I might know enough that in a surprise situation where some drunk at a bar comes up, and all of that sort of a thing, that, I might know some things that will save me, but I would be doing everything in my power to avoid a situation like that because I'm just not built to be a fighter, I'm pretty sure that like my genes were meant to run. I think that my genes were meant to run and sit all day. Yep. Like I'm probably like top 5%, run through the forest and fit into spaces that you're not supposed to. But not for fighting, and not for picking up large objects and throwing them either. And yet somehow I ended up training how to pick up and throw objects instead of running. Basically, you have rat. There you go. Yes, maybe they're rat genes. No, I don't know if a rat really kind of fits the running thing though. I know, like the thing with running is that humans can run distance better than pretty much any other animal. Like that's the thing that we're kind of geared for anyways. So it's kind of funny like that like I think in society we really value like the muscles and the strength, but maybe that's just because most people are not really physically gifted for that. I think that most people probably would, like there's been a revitalization, I guess you could say, in the running space over the last few years. Like there are all of these running groups are popping up, and there's lots of companies making gear, marketed specifically to runners and stuff that are starting to do well and everything. It doesn't surprise me because it seems to me that more people are built to run than to be strong or fight. Wow. I had one guy in class who could catch flies with either hand and release and recatch them without hardly trying. How do they do that? Because, like, even if you're really fast, the flies are faster. Okay. Well, anyways. I remember this one time I was at a concert, and we were trying to like get over to our friends, and there was this group of people that like were just like not gonna let us through, and there was this tiny little girl that like was like bumping up like she was gonna fight somebody, and I'm like, I could pick you up over my head and throw you over the wall here, like. It was so ridiculous, but as soon as that came into my mind, I was like, you know what? This isn't worth it. This is not I don't want to be around people that would, act like that and or make me want, feel that way. So we're just gonna go somewhere else, and so we just went somewhere else. But it was so wild to me how somebody would put themselves, would really try and escalate a situation where they really stood no chance. That was really wild to me to see. And I guess maybe that's kind of why we evolved that trait, though, is that you stand up and then the other person kind of backs off because of that. Maybe. A girl like that would get you in trouble eventually, right? Yeah. I've seen that before. Okay. Now to the 13. Okay, so here's the thing. Earlier we were kind of thinking, well, maybe we should sell the pullbacks, but I think that this is way too close to the jolts to sell the pullbacks, and jolts is probably going to determine what goes on from here. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a complete reversal, to be honest. It wouldn't surprise me to see jolts come out. What is the okay, they're looking for a reading of 8 million versus a previous reading of 8.04. I actually do kind of like the long. So I don't like 13. Like, if I was going to be long, I would like to be probably from 11.5 or below. And there was a long time where you could have gotten filled there. But I'm kind of like in the scenario where Jolts comes out a little bit weaker than that 8 million that they're looking for. Granted, it could come out stronger than that 8 million, and I don't really have anything that really tells me. I'm just kind of going on gut feel on this one. That from my own reading of the labor market and so forth, I think that the labor market well, actually, I think that the labor market is a little bit stronger this month than it was last month, but I don't know how lagged Jolts is, so it kind of depends on where it is. But I guess maybe I like the scenario where Jolts is a little weaker than anticipated, simply because that would cause like way more disruption to this instrument, right? So mostly I feel like that this whole morning was like a setup that I think I could have very easily got suckered into, and if I had taken any trade, I could potentially still be hanging on to it for break even or a loss at this point, right? So I think I made the right call on that one. I talked about a lot of different things this morning, but I don't know. I got mixed feelings about this week because on one hand, like I do expect things to be relatively quiet, but then on the other hand, like the markets have been moving okay still, and we've got a lot of data this week. And that election, even though I do think that Donald Trump is going to win, there's a lot of opportunity for surprise there. Even if we're not surprised by the top line result that Trump wins, you could probably be surprised by some of the other races. So easy. You know what else? I feel like that the days go by way too quickly now. Way too quick. Like yesterday, I got it. I got my thing. I sent my resumes out, and I did a little bit of, I guess, organization work and everything with the videos, and then I had to like help pick up kids and stuff like that, and like that was it. So like today, I need to spend some time working on scripts. It's just a question: should I work on the combines are for suckers video or the intuition one? I'm kind of waiting on like some sort of big, I don't know. I keep fishing for like what would we like to talk about with the combines? But I don't know. Something just feels missing with it. Something feels missing with it. Okay, well, they backed off at that 14 a bit. Have you ever, yeah, I at the beginning, so this is kind of the funny thing about it, is that, that was kind of how the channel started, was I was doing some combines, and eventually I decided, you know what, like the rules of the combine are actually hurting my strategy. Like it's causing me, that's when I kind of realized that the whole thing is set up to push you into a strategy that's not very good by causing you to you're just like so over leveraged, so like you going back to this thing that's like risk 1 to 5%, okay, and that's why the trading combines say that it's like a 50,000 account when really you're only allowed like $2,500 in drawdown, right? Because if you're only allowed $2,500 in drawdown, that means that like each trade can only be $25, right? And if each trade is only $25, that'll take you forever to pass the combine, right? So that's why I stopped doing it. So I think that you'll do better trading your own account and just trading really, really small. And, not taking huge risks. And possibly swing trading, because they don't allow swing trading. You need a little bit larger of an account, but I kind of think that if I had a little bit larger of an account, that I would be doing mostly swing trades. Like that I would be short the treasuries right now and trying to decide if I can hang on to it, or if it now is the time to take the profits on it, right? What do you got here, Uzi? The Harris campaign manipulates Reddit to control the platform from r/politics. Sorry, this post has been removed from the moderators of r/politics. Well, was it just a text post? Because if it was just a text post, then that kind of is violating the rules of r/politics and was justifiably removed. Now, if there was a story where within that story, oh, it's a Federalist article. Okay, link me to the Federalist article. I think that Federalist is on their no list too, though. Let me see. Oh. Whoa. Oh, mama. Oh, mama. 7.443. Oh, I was almost dead on. Gosh. Should have done it. Every time that I do that, I'm like, am I just lucky, or do I really have a good intuition for predicting those? I'm just not sure, because it's like too hard for me to like keep reliable stats on that sort of a thing, you know? But wow. There's going to be some pukes on this. I think this comes back. If they were to come all the way back to the VWAP, that would be like amazing, but I doubt it. Busted, the inside story of how the Kamala Harris campaign manipulates Reddit and breaks the rules to control the platform. Part 1 of an investigation into how the Harris-Walz campaign is manipulating social media sites to artificially boost their popularity, spread election disinformation, and skirt election laws. Hold on. Maybe. Come on. No. Lower than do they do revisions on the Jolts? I'm not sure. So you got to remember that like most of Jolts is made up, you know, like. Oh yeah, right. CB consumer confidence 108 spot 7 versus 99 spot 5. Oh, so both of those numbers were pretty positive. Okay, so I am now thinking that the post being removed by r/politics is not in violation, because the Federalist is on the white list. It was posted within the last, let's go to their rules. Right? Okay. No novelty accounts or bots. It's not that. Rule breaking username. No. Spam or solicitation. No. Incivility or personal attacks. No. Flaming, baiting, or trolling. No. Witch hunts or personal information. Maybe we could come back to that one after we read it. Follow AMA rules. Submissions must be about U.S. politics. It is. Must be within the last 7 days. Must be from the approved domain list. Titles must be the exact headline from the article, which it is not. Yeah. Well, it's close. It's close enough. That's a fuzzy one where the moderators could maybe make the case that you manipulated the title. But do not flood the new queue, no copy pasted articles from non-English sites, disallowed submission types, articles that require users to take a survey, that disclose employment or affiliation with a source. Oh, you must disclose employment or affiliation with a source. So now I wonder, there's a subreddit called r/deleted. Does that show up over there? No, actually there's not. There's not any. Do people not post to this anymore? Huh. Well, it says request to post join. Maybe I'm not in that one. This is the sell pullback they wanted. Well, it kind of looks like I didn't get the price that I wanted, and I kind of just have to deal with that. Maybe our censorship? The places that I used to go to look these sorts of things up, I can't find anymore. There used to be this subreddit where, like, if posts were deleted, you know, people would post about it, and then sometimes the moderators from those subreddits would come in and try to explain why it was deleted. So I'm kind of looking at this like, well, they moved up pretty big, and there was probably some really big shorts on this that really got shoved out of a position. So that can kind of make that high watermark a difficult place to get above. But at the same time, I do think that they should probably be above the open price, for instance. So I'll take one there. I'm kind of wondering now what this might mean for the auction today. It looks like my resting orders still seems to think that there's more size on the offer. I might need to change some of the settings on that to limit the number of prices that it factors in. Oh, wait, what? No, that's not what I wanted. I want that one. Yes, I see. So I'm looking for a place where they kind of start to dance around a little bit to see if I can maybe sort out a slightly better position than this. Okay, but let's read the Federalist article itself, because this is something that I've been saying for a while. For years, many have speculated that Democrat political candidates may be filling social media with fake posts to deceive the public and make their campaigns and causes seem more popular than they are. These claims have often been dismissed. Oh, hold on. So it got filled on the one. Okay. these claims have often been dismissed, citing that Democrat voters are already more likely to be on the internet compared to their not as tech-savvy Republican counterparts. This would suggest that the constant flood of left-leaning content on websites such as Reddit was merely a reflection of the user base. However, many people simply couldn't shake the feeling that something was just off, especially in the run-up to major elections. Despite my fervent belief that something was amiss, I never had any direct proof the Democrats were actively manipulating social media, as was myself. I could point to behavior that I thought was suspicious, but I didn't have any like direct smoking gun proof that any of those people were paid social media operatives. This all changed 2 weeks ago when ex-user Jesse Princey. Oh, very good. I got another fill. So, do another one here if I can. When Jesse Princey replied to one of my posts with a screenshot from a Discord server seemingly related to the Harris Walz campaign. Calling all Reddit users, the No Access team would love your help. We're posting and boosting breaking, informative, and positive news as well as campaign-generated memes and screenshots of Kamala HQ social media to turn the tide on Reddit from orange to blue. We especially need people who can post at r/politics, news, technology, and other large subreddits. Okay. I immediately messaged Jess and soon received the link to the Discord server where this operation was taking place. What I'd find there went far beyond algorithmic manipulation. I discovered massive astroturfing campaigns operating across multiple platforms. Astroturfing is a political and marketing term that describes creating swarms of coordinated and/or paid messages and posts to deceptively create the illusion of support from ordinary people. Essentially, astroturfing is the opposite of grassroots support. Yeah, well, now, like, one of the things is if you have a Reddit account and that, you're not supposed to organize like that. But I just want to point out that there is a separation between like coordinated social media response and like making up users and creating a much larger response in place than there actually would be. Right? So there are some things that campaigns might do that I wouldn't necessarily call astroturfing, but are still, trying to influence social media, right? Okay, in this case, there is a team of volunteers who spam social media with posts that specifically promote Kamala. They then have other users pretend to be random individuals who just happened across the post and decide to comment. It's no different than a shady company paying a team to write a bunch of fake Amazon reviews about their product to make it appear to be a better and more popular product than it is. Okay, so this is your typical upvote brigade. These existed back in the dig days, and I've always said that they still exist today. And that didn't surprise me that they have a Discord server. Yeah, okay. And it also doesn't surprise me that somebody would post about it on Twitter, because there's actually a lot of people involved in it. Okay, on Amazon, that might result in a product getting more sales in a U.S. election. It could mean the falsely advertised candidate receives more votes. This behavior is not only incredibly dishonest, but in many cases, it directly violates the terms of service they've agreed to by operating on socials. So yes, it definitely violates Reddit's terms of services. Yes. In part one of a 3-part series, we're going to look at how the Harris Walz campaign has manipulated the popular website Reddit, one of the top social media sites with 500 million users, to publish campaign propaganda. Okay, yeah, so I would like to know how you connect it to the Kamala Harris campaign, specifically. Astroturfing on Reddit. Reddit is broken into thousands of message boards on discrete topics known as subreddits. The politics subreddit and several others are being actively targeted by the Harris Walz campaign with notable success. Since the Reddit astroturfing operation started, it has rapidly developed an organizational structure complete with roles for team members, spreadsheets for tracking their analytics, and key messaging to stick to when making a social media post. Yeah. See, the key messaging is the thing that tips me off. Is when it's like all of the sudden all of the commenters all seem to be following the same narrative on something that like just barely came out. That can't be organic, people are still figuring things out. Like if people are thinking for themselves, there should be like a very wide array of opinions on a particular subject. So if all of the posters are following a particular narrative, particularly what's one of the convoluted narratives that they kind of put when they're doing damage control, then it's very likely that it's astroturfing, in my opinion. Okay. I found that 126 of the top 1,000 posts this past month on r/politics were posted by official Harris Walz campaign volunteers. Owning 1 out of every 8 of all the top posts in r/politics is not an easy feat, and it doesn't just happen. Here's how they achieved it. At 1 out of 8 is not as good as I thought it would be, actually. Okay. Every weekday morning, Harris for President staffers like Gabrielle Lynn post the daily messaging guidance to the servers. Oh, okay. So now they do have staffers posting in the Discord server. Okay. To the server's Reddit channel usually consists of articles and data that the Harris Walz campaign wants to boost, as well as key messaging that their Reddit volunteers should stick to. On Gabrielle Lynn's profile, you'll find a staff icon, which indicates that she is a paid Democrat staffer. In this case, Gabrielle is a Harris for President staffer. Links compiled by the official Harris Walz staffers, along with other articles submitted by volunteers, are added to a Google spreadsheet called Reddit Organizing. Kamala's lead posters, people who have demonstrated a cultural knowledge of Reddit, and then choose which links will resonate best with different Reddit communities. For instance, a link about how Project 2025 impacts reproductive health will be redirected towards communities with young women as their primary user base, whereas news about Kamala Harris's Fox News interview winning over swing state voters gets directed to Reddit's Democrat communities and possibly to people living in swing states. Okay, that went a little bit further than I thought it would, but I will take it again at 13. Harris Walz campaign volunteers have created a database of more than 100 subreddits, each containing detailed information on what kind of content they permit, which topics perform best, and any specific notes about each community, such as how much karma or cumulative upvotes one needs to post in each subreddit. After their links have been collected and categorized, volunteer posters will take a handful of the links provided and post them to their assigned subreddits. Kamala's posters, however, don't simply spam links haphazardly. They use a calculated sequential post timing metric to avoid Reddit's built-in spam filters. Ooh, yeah, so they're definitely violating terms of service. Harris Walz campaign volunteers often discuss their ban avoidance tactics in their Discord server while continuing to spam Reddit with their collected links. Okay, I see you got hit for queue flooding. According to your last post, that's what earned you the ban. If you get a second time, it will be for 2 months. When posting submissions, keep in mind a few rules. Stick to 3 a day. It gives you the greatest posting flexibility and offers you a spacing of 1 submission mistake. It's quite possible to do up to 4 a day, but you need to keep strict timing, and a single mistake can be costly. Avoid 5 a day. It's an extremely inflexible posting rate with the highest chance of earning a ban. Space your posts at a minimum of 20 minutes apart. The sidebar may say 10 minutes, but the way the site runs, timing down to the minute is practically impossible. Likewise, there are site-wide issues timing can be of. Always check that the post you plan to submit hasn't already been posted. If you delete a post, it counts against your number a day. If a mod deletes your post, including the auto mod, it does not count against it. Thus, if your headline does not meet requirements and gets taken down, you can resubmit without issue. Once the users make their Reddit posts, they return to the spreadsheet and update it with a link to their brand new post. And why do they collect their post links? They collect their Reddit links so Kamala's, I keep reading it as karma, because, you know, we're Reddit, so I see the K and I think karma. Okay. Links so Kamala's volunteers can flood the post with likes and comments, thus making them appear more active. This in turn triggers the algorithm to make the post appear more in user timelines. Reddit's post activity algorithm is extremely simple and can easily be abused, which is known on Reddit as brigading. Yes. The tracker will be helpful. Yeah, it is considered brigading, but just a few upvotes right at the beginning of posts helps so much, especially on large subs like political humor. As long as it's just a few upvotes, it will never be an issue. Yep. How effective is this? Well, the Harris-Walz Discord server was created many months ago. The spreadsheet to track their vote manipulation on Reddit was only implemented on October 4th. Over the course of 15 days, this group of volunteers, directed by official Harris-Walz campaign staff, was able to make 2,551 posts to Reddit. So far, they received more than 5.7 million upvotes and 418,000 comments on those posts, according to their own data. Currently, they're posting approximately 120 unique links to Reddit per day. However, Kamala's volunteer data wasn't enough for me. I wanted to know just how effective this campaign had been, so I exported their spreadsheet and got to work. Using their so cleverly named Please Upvote These spreadsheets, I filtered the information to find posts exclusively made by Harris-Walz campaign volunteers. I found 1,728 posts created by 67 unique Harris-Walz campaign volunteers since October 4th, many of which received a lot of traction in a very short time frame. I tagged each of their usernames with a Kamala Harris volunteer label using a browser extension called Reddit Enhancement Suite and went to their targeted subreddits to determine exactly how successful they had been. Ooh. Okay. So you have a name, you have a list of names. That's the first thing. So now I'm going to be looking at names for the posts that I'm suspicious about. I found their primary target to be r/politics, the largest community on Reddit for discussing US politics with more than 8 million members. I sorted the top 1,000 posts of the past month, and what I discovered shocked me. Of the top 1,000 posts on r/politics, 126 were written by a user bearing the mark Kamala Harris volunteer. This means 12.5% of the most upvoted content on r/politics came from volunteers of the Harris-Walz campaign. Remember, this operation only picked up steam in the last 2 weeks. Oh, well, there's been like astroturfing on advice animals way longer than that. On October 17th, 8 of the 30 hottest posts on r/politics were created by Harris-Walz volunteers. That's over 25%. Beyond r/politics, they also target swing state subreddits, which tend to be a lot smaller in number and less strictly moderated. They created a collection of swing state subreddits, including communities dedicated to their towns and cities, which streamlines the process of targeting them with Harris-Walz supplied messaging. Because these communities are small, it's a lot easier to get their posts to rank. In the week between October 13th and 20th, 10% of the top posts in their swing state collection were created by Harris-Walz volunteers, many of whom aren't even from a swing state. It's safe to say that the Harris-Walz astroturfing operation has fundamentally compromised the authenticity of political discussions on Reddit. Kamala is actively ruining the internet by making her campaign look far more popular than it is in reality. The actions, while seemingly not illegal, directly violate Reddit's terms of service. The volunteers of the Harris-Walz campaign are using multiple accounts to manipulate votes. Let's see here, and then here's a picture. I understand the concern. Personally, I am using my main account, leaving it all on the field. I do have several old accounts that might get used for more competitive situations. Okay, so they are like straight up using multiple accounts to like argue with you and stuff. And I always wonder, okay, so how many of the kind of more bizarre conversations that I've had with people were with Harris-Walz, volunteers? They use multiple accounts to manipulate votes, solicit votes from others in a group to coordinate voting. And these are all direct violations of Reddit's content policy, which explicitly forbids the type of vote manipulation that is encouraged on the Harris-Walz volunteer Discord server. Why is this so effective? For those unfamiliar with Reddit, the site tends to be very left-leaning, largely due to the biases of activist Reddit moderators. Here's a recent example. The following post was made by a Democrat Redditor to r/Texas. The call for Democrats, specifically to get out and vote, was met with heaps of praise and showered with upvotes. However, when the same text was posted, but with a Democrat and Kamala replaced with Republican and Trump, the post was deleted and the user was banned from r/Texas. It is unknown if Reddit is aware of the policy violations being performed by the Harris. Oh, you know what? They might. Well, they should now, but I bet you that they don't do anything about it. Because this went on in 2016, this went on in 2020, and like they basically straight up conspired to delete the Donald Trump subreddits off of the website. Oh, come on, you're not going to give me the fill at 17, huh? While it's possible that their accounts will be banned when their actions come to light, it is also entirely possible that Reddit is giving the Harris-Walz campaign free rein to violate the rules. In 2018, Reddit CEO Steve Huffman plainly stated in an interview with The New Yorker, "I'm confident that Reddit could sway elections. We wouldn't do it, of course, and I know how many times we could get away with it, but if we really wanted to, I'm sure Reddit could have swayed at least this election. This once." Huh. So I'm going to come over here and come back to Reddit and see if I just search Reddit for this title. Oh, okay. Here you go, Uzi. There is one of them on Reddit that survived. It has been downvoted into oblivion. Why are you pulling up 1Password? Whatever. It's been downvoted into oblivion. How old is it? 47 minutes ago. But this one has the correct title. Cool. Yeah, right there. Okay. There's a lot of comments. Translation: we don't understand how Reddit or in general community moderated platforms work. No, what they're doing is astroturfing and is explicitly against Reddit's rules. Okay, so let's get involved here. This should be fun. Let's see here. Reddit terms of service. I don't know where you get to it from. Reddit user agreement. Privacy. Hmm. Maybe they don't have a rule against brigading. Thought they did. I don't know. It kind of sounds like that the Reddit's rules on this are just vague enough that they would, Reddit could not do anything. Okay. Well, so I was able to get my cost basis, or my break even rather, all the way down to 09.5, so that's pretty good. If I can get 19.5, I'll probably take it off because we got about 30 minutes. I don't know why anyone would think the Harris campaign is somehow above social media manipulation. Seems par for the course for any. Yeah, it is. Well, the thing that where I was at was, okay, I think that the post that you were linking to where it had been banned was because they didn't copy the title explicitly. So this is a rule this is one of the things that happens on Reddit is that the moderators have rules that they allow enough leeway on to where it always hurts their competitors and always helps the political side that they want. So they can come in and they can say, well, you didn't exactly copy their title because in this instance, the title is too long. So they banned it because of that, right? And then another one, they can say, well, you mostly got the title right, so we'll allow it, right? I see that all the time. And back when the deleted subreddits were still around, and the argument that politics was always making for why they deleted things was that the title was wrong, didn't match the article. In this case, it's there, and there's 165 comments, and it's been downvoted into oblivion. So the Harris Walls campaign is almost certainly addressing it in their Discord server, and or possibly moving to a new Discord server now that it's been compromised, and telling their users to come in and downvote this post. Probably. But the people at the beginning here, they aren't saying, oh, Harris Walls is not astroturfing. They are saying, oh, that's allowed on Reddit. Is what they're saying. This person just says, oh, Republicans manipulate Twitter and control. Well, I don't really think that that's the case, but I don't really mess with Twitter. Because the right doesn't coordinate pro-Trump messaging the same way. I do not believe that the Donald Trump campaign does now. I'm sure that some individual Republican campaigns might. I still argue that it seems to me like advice animals is the one that's like the furthest gone, where it's like everything that gets posted there is like nonsense, and it seems as like astroturfing, but they didn't mention it. But maybe they'll mention it in a future article. Okay. But the story is on r/conservative. It's on r/conspiracy. That's funny. And it seems like this has only come out in the last hour too. So maybe it will get bigger. Let's see. Let's just see how it goes, huh? Yeah, it's so here in r/conservative, to the shock of absolutely no one who's been around here for a while. What would have shocked me is if there wasn't a massive amount of astroturfing. Yeah, like that they're only responsible for 12% is actually shocking to me, because I would think that it'd be higher than that. Go to the subs of the reddest states in the country. They'd make you think Alabama is a Marxist-Leninist utopia. Why do you reckon that is? Conservative voices are being silenced here and have been for a long time now. Yeah, that's exactly what happens in the Utah subreddit. In the Utah and Salt Lake City subreddits, is if you say anything conservative, you get downvoted and banned. Even though it's like one of the most Republican states in the country. I've started pushing back on this because I'm tired of leftists acting like none of us deserve a voice, so we should mess with their balance of their echo chambers as much as possible, because they're constantly living inside a bubble is leading plenty of them to very extremist views. Stop hiding yourselves. You have nothing to be ashamed of. Don't let stupid people run roughshod over you. Well, I've never been able to stop myself from posting. I'm a little bit more selective nowadays, though. 18.5 offer won't let go. They just sucked in starch out of it with Barbara. You think there's enough buyers to eat 18.5? I haven't been paying enough attention to it. I'm still seeing pretty strong buying in the 5 and the 30, but the 10-year is still a little bit like weird. Actually, the volume in the 10-year is a little bit weird, wouldn't you say? It's like there's the big buy at the beginning, but then it was like a sell and a buy, and it's like actually not that much. So for some reason, they're not as interested in trading it in the 10. But there's an auction today, so I kind of think that the auction tends to be an up move. So I think that later on we might get the fill. I don't think I'm going to wait around for it, though. I think when we end the stream, I should end the trade and just take it wherever it's at. You should note that the activity level afterwards is still pretty high. And also that the imbalance between buyers and sellers is kind of starting to come back. But I'm not really seeing these large orders get involved in here either. So I'm not so sure that there's like any spot here that's like unbeatable or anything. It's just kind of be luck of the draw probably. But I took enough profits through all of that, you know, and I had to put that 19.5 because that was the buyer's cost basis. So. Oh, here's somebody else, but they are discussing it already and how it's actually a great thing that they support. Not too much more there on that one. Okay, there's a couple of good upticks there. Off topic, do you guys have any advice on dealing with a herniated disc? I have some crazy bad back pain waiting to get an MRI, but the doc said it's most likely a herniated disc. Yeah, I do actually. So, your back is a really intricate thing, and you know it goes through a lot throughout your life, right? How is it that your back is supposed to survive through your whole life? You know, it seems like everybody has issues with their backs. Isn't that kind of weird and curious? Well, I'll tell you why that is. Well, because your back is supposed to repair, right? Like, there's no way that it can handle all of that. It's you have things in your body that, like, you know, repair things and stuff like that, right? So what happens with a herniated disc is essentially you're putting some stress on it in some direction, right? And there's like these kind of like gel-like discs, and eventually the gel-like disc gets damaged so much that the gel kind of like bulges out, right? And what that essentially means is that your body is not able to keep up with and repair the disc quickly enough. So usually it's because you're not getting enough of a certain kind of nutrients. There are certain types of nutrients that aren't in our diets that you kind of need to heal your back fast enough. And my recollection is that like the best thing to eat was blueberries. So go and eat more blueberries. Was it blueberries or raspberries? I can't remember which one. But a lot of it comes from berries and fruits and things like that. So look at your diet. And you might get a surgery, or they might, you know, give you a cortisol injection there. But then you're going to need to try and address the movements that are possibly causing it to do that. And you know, improve your diet so that when that area heals, then and it stays healed. And this is coming from somebody that's basically dealt with severe back pain from scoliosis their whole life. Well, I'm a little disappointed they came back to 16.5 again, but you know, whatever. It doesn't look to me like you're getting a lot of follow-up longs, at least not in the 10-year. Well, I don't see this story on Donald Trump sites yet. $5K offer. Oh yeah, that's a big one. And a big old iceberg at 16. That's a little suspicious. Oh, and they're gonna stack it at 16 now too, huh? Okay, like this late in the session and everything, like big offers like that is very suspicious. Can I see them on my market depth? Kind of. I saw that coming and was chicken. Well, probably should have like panicked and jumped out on that one, right? Now another part of me says, let's load up again. Let's load up again and for the auction and but my take on when I see manipulation, and I think that was, and by the way, they're gone now. We moved down and they're gone now. Don't trade. When you see that, like cancel your orders. Don't mess with it. Don't reward them with activity. Because they're doing that to prompt people to do stuff, to prompt activity. So if you just like pull all of their orders, then it's like explicitly disadvantageous for them. You got a picture here? Oh, that's interesting. What's this? Yeah, there you go. You know what, though? I don't have the same thing on mine. That's the resting orders, right? So this right here is them pulling for the news, right? And now I think you're kind of seeing a shift to where the the offers are still pretty strong. Can't tell. Red offers. I can't tell the difference between those two colors. This is red. Okay. Yeah. It's like the offers are still going up, which is kind of what I'm seeing here, right? It's like it's still mostly offers, but I'm not filtering. So I was like, let's just leave it alone for today. But now I'm going to change it since it's close to the end of the session. And I'm going to come here to my resting orders. And I'm going to say max level filter. And I'm going to bring it really far in. Like, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try 4. 29 resting orders. Delete the history. And we'll start anew. So see, if I only look at like the inside 4, then the imbalance looks a little different, like, doesn't it? Because there's still these offers from like way up there that are being counted in it. See, down here it's like 23,000, and up here it's like 32,000. And I don't know if that overall imbalance is actually really indicative of what we want to see. Been fighting with you on your resting orders math? Well, what? Are you like explicitly trying to like add them all up and stuff? That would be a pain to... It's a pain to verify, right? What time is Tim Waltz live streaming himself playing Tetris? Oh, dude, I forgot about that. Oh, it just brings me back to this whole thing that like the Kamala Harris campaign just seems to be the most devoid of substance campaign I've ever seen. Like Donald Trump, he has a message and things that he says he wants to do, and I don't really believe that he's, gonna do all of those things. I think he's a politician making promises and that he likes to make promises. But Kamala Harris, they like avoid talking policy, and their whole campaign is, oh yeah, kids, they like Tetris, so let's go and play Tetris, and I think that will help us in the polls. Okay, you go ahead and try that and see if it helps you. Men like hunting, let's go hunting. I'm sure that this will go just about as badly as hunting did, especially since I bet you that Tim Waltz isn't that great at Tetris. Like, you probably think most kids my age probably think, oh yeah, I'm pretty good at Tetris. I played Tetris and like beat it through level 10 or whatever the deal is. Trust me, you're not actually good at Tetris. If you actually get into Tetris and you start to get into the strategies and crazy things that people use for Tetris, it gets insane. And if you were like one-on-one against these people, you could get destroyed. You're not actually good at Tetris. Yeah, I don't know. Let's watch. I don't think it's going to go very well. Like, everything like this that Waltz has done is blown up in their face, and I don't know why they think this will be any different. I love that let's do the thing to fit in reminds me of that one girl. Yeah, I shot my dog because it wasn't being good. Isn't that what a hunter does? Or something along those... Oh, man, yeah. Oh, man, yeah. Who was it? Was it Nikki Haley?
Block cell.
Oh, no. It was Kristi Noem of South Dakota. Yeah. That one is so crazy. That thinking, I almost forgot about that one, man. The thing that weirds me out about that is like, okay, if you have a certain situation where a dog that's like intended to be a hunting dog is unruly and is like killing other animals on the farm and stuff like that, and you can't rehabilitate it, and that was one of the first things, is that they didn't really give enough information for us to see that they really tried to rehabilitate the dog, then you do kill it. But you don't talk about it the way that she talked about it and brag about it. Like, that's so crazy. Listen, humans love dogs. We have a symbiotic relationship with dogs. We love dogs. Dogs love us. We have like literally change the trajectory of their evolution to be the perfect companion for ourselves. I know there's these people that have like attachment issues and stuff like that that love cats. Nothing against cats. Cats are cool too. But by and large, people prefer dogs, and almost everybody loves dogs. And the most destructive thing you can ever possibly do for your political career is to show callousness towards a dog. The whole story about Mitt Romney, like putting the dog on the roof and the dog pooped itself and then they just sprayed him off and everything. Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see the mentality, because sometimes I'll get into, we got to get the thing done and well, let's do what it takes sort of a mode. But I wouldn't do that to a dog. And I certainly wouldn't wouldn't talk about it in a book or anything for a campaign. Like, that's just crazy. Okay. Every once in a while, not every once in a while, pretty much every day, Maple does something that makes me just want to kick her across the room sometimes, man. But she's so adorable. I can't do that. I could never do that to her. She's just stupid. It's not her fault that she was born a mutt. Okay. But, we still love her. I'm pretty sure you could punt a chihuahua and get away. Wasn't that what happened with that girl on Twitch, that she pretty much, the dog was frustrating her and she threw it across the room and like she got banned from Twitch for it? I'm telling you, man, you just don't mess with that stuff. Nothing will ruin your career, your political career, faster than being mean to dogs. Like, just being mean to a dog is bad enough. You're bragging about killing a dog, that's a different thing. Like, that'll really ruin you. And if it really came up, like, you would never bring it up yourself. But then if somebody said, we heard this rumor that you had to kill this dog, right? And then you would be really sad and sorrowful, and it was so painful and everything, but it really was the best thing for everybody in that situation, right? That's how you would handle it. And then on the other side of this, okay, you have a dog, that better be the best damn dog in the world, okay? Like, if you're a politician, train your dog. It should be obedient. It should, like, entertain people and all of that. Like, especially if you're president and you don't already have a dog. And frankly, if you already have a dog, maybe you should get a new one if you become president. And it should be an American dog, and it should be a big dog, and you should get it the best trainers in the world and put a good amount of time and effort into making that dog really well trained. Because people that own a bad behaving dog, few things will ruin people's opinion of you more than having a misbehaving dog, Like that neighbor that has that dog that that if it got over the other side of the fence, that it would just maim whoever was there. They don't like them. It's everybody in the neighborhood dislikes that house. Even if it's like, we kind of, you got to understand, I'm telling you, man, bad behaving dog reflects so poorly on you. And that was the whole thing with Joe Biden's dog, right? That they basically had to get rid of him. And there was like the second dog like this too. Okay. That anybody that hears about that is like, something's wrong in Biden's house. Get a border collie. Everyone loves those. I don't know, man. If I was president, would I get a border collie? I would be too afraid that the dog would be bored. Like, if I was president and I was going to get a border collie, I think I would need to get some sheep for him too, and then have sheep on the White House lawn. Like, you know what? My dog, Goku, I really think he's a good dog for this sort of stuff. I think that most Americans would prefer to have a big dog. So maybe I would get a big dog If we got a big dog, I would get a Bernese, whatever they call them. Bernese mountain dog, is that what they're called? Because that's what Melissa likes. Like she never really said a whole lot about them. Like she'd mentioned them as a couple of different types of dogs. She wanted a Doberman. She thinks that like sorry, not a Doberman, a Rottweiler. She thinks a Rottweiler like that is just the most adorable face. Right? Okay. But then one time we were at the Shields, which is kind of like an outdoor gear store. It's kind of like Cabela's, but the Cabela's in Utah is bigger than, or sorry, the Shields in Utah is much bigger than the Cabela's. And she saw that Bernese mountain dog, and I saw her face, never saw her look at something like that. That was all she could pay attention to when she saw that dog. Yeah, if I had some more room, I think there would have to be a Bernese mountain dog. But I think that a Papillon is well suited for it. It's just, he's not big. But they were kind of bred to be like entertaining dogs for rich people, like royalty. So I think he works. A Great Pyrenees. Oh wait, I'm not quite sure what those look like. A Basset Hound. Dude, I knew a family in our church when I was a missionary, and they had those. And oh no, I take that wrong. They weren't Basset Hounds, they were Beagles. Kind of. Aren't Beagles and Basset Hounds kind of related? But the Beagles, those were dogs. I tell you what, they got a personality on them that's not well suited for everybody. Oh, a big white dog. Beagles have infinite energy. Basset Hounds have just enough energy to only walk around the house twice. Well, I think I'm just gonna scratch this one. I was really hoping that they would give me another chance to get up. I bet you that they do spike for the auction, but you never know. Like again, one of the things that my back tests showed me was that the order flow wasn't very good at predicting the auction. But I'm just kind of assuming that auction trades tend to be buys. So, you know, we had a buy today because of jolts. Maybe that will be a buy for auction as well. And I don't know if we'd be able to get above the high, but I think that my overall trade here was a pretty good one. If I was only using one contract, I don't think that, you know, it probably would have been a scratch. But because of my kind of approach to multiple contracts and everything, I was able to work something out. So it's not too bad. Freaking dogs. It still bothers me so much that Joe Biden's dog was like biting Secret Service members so much that they had to get rid of it. Yeah, the animals will hurt you. You know, Trump, I don't think Trump ever had a dog. I tell you, maybe this will be something that'll happen if Trump becomes president, is his son, because they've been saying that his son has been making all of the really great calls on social media appearances and podcasts and stuff like that. So the son's going to come in and say, we need to get a dog. And they're going to get a dog, and it's going to really help, you know, like after everybody sees Donald Trump learning to, because I don't think that man's ever really had a dog. He's never talked about owning a dog. They get him a dog and he falls in love with that dog. It's going to change everybody's opinion of Donald Trump. You watch. I'm probably jumping the shark here, guys. I'm going to get going. I'll see you tomorrow. Stay